Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, bringing you another video on behalf of Bugna.com, and this is part of the Offlaning in 7.05 video series, and I'm going to talk about the competitive offlaners, the ones that are considered very powerful right now in pubs, the things that the 7k players are kind of grinding to get 7k, those ones, the MMR winners. Let's talk about some of the most broken offlaners in the game right now. So Magnus is the first one that comes to mind. In fact, this might be the best hero in the game right now, next to potentially Monkey King. So these are two heroes, Monkey King and Magnus, that just do way too much. Magnus, he gives his carries and power, which gives them 60% damage, 60% cleave. It's just absolutely absurd. His farming capabilities are extremely fast because of that cleave. He is very hard to lane against because shockwave spam does a ton of damage, costs basically no mana, and you can cut creep waves with it. So his laning is very, very strong. And then on top of that, he has the ability to reposition heroes, and historically speaking, that has always been very, very powerful. Pudge, Batrider, Vengeful Spirit, these heroes who are capable of changing the position of a single hero have always been historically very strong at a point because of that. And the casters and the professional players always say being able to reposition an enemy hero not on their own volition is always something that's going to be overpowered. And Magnus can do that with multiple heroes with Skewer. And on top of that, last but not least, he has the most broken ultimate in the game of Dota. He has a BKB piercing disable that vacuums things in such that you can skewer them as well. Absolutely broken. This hero allows your team to do a ton of damage and pretty much wipe any team fight. I think the big reason this hero is more popular now is because people are playing it as an offlaner for one instead of a mid, and it can do very, very well in the offlane. And then also, people are playing it as a counter initiator as opposed to an initiator. So essentially in every single fight, Magnus is going to completely destroy the team fight because instead of going in and initiating with him, you're playing him as a hero who just kind of waits for an opportunity. So the opportunity is pretty much always going to present itself because as soon as the fight starts, people group up, and it's really, really easy to hit a big RP. So this hero is a pub winner right now. A lot of people are grinding MMR with this hero, and I would say this is a tier 1 offlaner, maybe a god tier. We'll do a god tier. Magnus is a god tier offlaner, and I don't think that there's any other god tier offlaners that are so damn good. The other potential argument for a god tier offlaner, and I actually personally think this one is tier 1 and not a god tier offlaner, aka it's not like completely broken, but it is very, very powerful, and that's Axe. I think Axe is incredible, but I think he's really countered by Yule Scepters, which obviously doesn't mean he's completely crap. He's still arguably the best offlaner in the game. Maybe if you're not into Magnus, he might be the best. But he's definitely the second best offlaner in the game. I think most people would agree on that right now in the competitive scene. Mainly because he has this BKB piercing disable that's pretty much constantly off cooldown. When you get a blade mail, you can solo kill pretty much anybody in the game. He's very fast at farming, very good at laning, utilizes that offlane shrine really, really well, utilizes the jungle really, really well. He can cut creep waves. He does all of this good stuff, and he does so much damn damage. But like I said, I think Yule Scepter is actually something that's underrated against this hero. If you couldn't Yule Scepter Axe during call, he would by far be the best offlaner in the game. But because Yule Scepter exists, I don't think he's bad. I think he's still the second best, but he's not as good as Magnus because I think really there is no counter to Magnus right now. I think Magnus is just uncounterable. But Axe, you have to play differently. Oh, you can check out my conduct summary. This is a ban to somebody who's feeding, so I'm not a BM player. Don't think I'm a BM player. But anyway, back to it. So Axe, very, very good. So capable of solo killing pretty much anybody in the game. Very good against a lot of typical carries right now. I think the two top offlaners are going to be Axe and Magnus, and both of them are very good at gaining MMR. So most offlaners these days have some sort of initiation tool. That's almost always going to be the offlaners for some reason. It just seems that in the other roles, based on what's popular, if you don't have an initiator that has a stun in the offlane, you kind of lack stun. So that is a big issue. If you actually don't pick a stunning offlaner, you can just run into lack of disables just based on what else is popular. So that's kind of why these two heroes are also extremely imbalanced. So I say that, but the reason I said this is because Abaddon is actually an exception. I think Abaddon's probably the third best offlaner right now. He's very, very powerful. There's a particular skill build that you do where you go Phase Boots, Midas, and then Radiance. and then you go, Octarine Core, Blade Mail, Blink Dagger, stuff like that. Really, really annoying items. And you go for the 20% XP talent, and the hero is just absurdly annoying in the game. He's almost as annoying as a late game Naga Siren, as an offlaner, and based on his abilities, he's pretty much, there's two heroes in the game that really deal with Abaddon on the offlane. It's Monkey King and Ursa. Every other hero in the game pretty much cannot lane against Abaddon. It's just too hard. He just does too much with that shield. People are maxing the Curse of Avernus now, as opposed to going for just 1 point in it and maxing the heal. So I think that's a big reason that this hero has kind of had this resurgence in popularity. And then on top of that, going the Midas build. I don't think people really utilized this build too much before, but now people are realizing, oh my god, this is so hard to deal with, because when you're level 25, you have a 500 damage shield, which is insane. You have Octarine, you have Radiance, you're doing tons of damage, causing mischance. Your ultimate's on cooldown in like 25 seconds, last 7 seconds. You're pretty much immortal. You do a ton of damage. You do a ton of healing. It is so damn annoying. You pretty much go into the offlane, cause a massive amount of space to be created in the game, and then become a carry in the late game. So yeah, really annoying stuff. So he's probably the third best, and kind of the exception to the rule of having a stun. So I think the fourth best offlaner is probably Legion Commander. I think where Legion Commander is really strong is when there's a really good dual target on the enemy team, so like Shadow Fiend, Juggernaut, and then also when there's really nice abilities to be purged in the offlane. So if you're going against like a Crystal Maiden Disruptor, you can use the Legion Commander W to purge all of the harass that they can do, and just Legion lanes really well against a bunch of heroes, so she's just so damn strong at laning and so damn annoying that if you actually can utilize that purge, you can just go into the offlane and become a free carry because she's just so damn good. And then of course you have the Blink Initiation with Duel. She's such a terror on the map. She's very good at counter pushing. There's a lot that she does. This is a good hero to grind for MMR right now. That's definitely a really good hero.